Hey everyone, and welcome to Recharge the Podcast Season 2. I'm David Coe. My guest today is one of the leading voices when it comes to burnout, sleep, and mental health in the workplace. She's an international best-selling author, the co-founder of the Huffington Post, and CEO of Thrive Global. Let's recharge with Arianna Huffington. Hi, Arianna. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, David. It's great to be with you.
It's great to see you. And again, I so appreciate you taking the time, and I'm so looking forward to our conversation.
And congratulations on Recharge.
Thank you.
I'm loving it, and I absolutely love the name.
Thank you. And it's got things that obviously you've done within your own company as well. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation. You know, as part of that book, and thank you for showing that just now, a lot of the premise of the book around Recharge was just making that conversation around mental health more approachable. And one of the ways that we did that was to really think about your mental health like a phone battery, because it could take sometimes a heavy topic and really make it a lot more relatable to things that you kind of see day to day. And so before we begin, I was just going to ask you, how's your battery today?
I actually woke up and started my day much earlier than I normally like because I had an early breakfast
Hmm.
with a pharma partner we're working with uptown, and I live downtown. Am I giving you too much information?
No, I love it. Love it.
And normally, I like to wake up after 7 to 8 hours of sleep, which is my golden number. Then I like to meditate, and then I like to work out.
Hmm.
Both my cardio, and I now have been doing 1 hour of strength training plus
Love
30 hours of cardio. And I have loved it. I'm like obsessed with it. And I've always done cardio, but I never really got the value of strength training as much as now.
it.
So today I could do none of that because I had to get up, have a shower, get dressed, and go uptown for my breakfast.
Hmm.
So what I did is, because I had a full day, I found literally 15 minutes before I came to have our conversation to just close my eyes and meditate.
Hmm.
And it's kind of game changing. It's hard to believe that 15 minutes can make such a difference, but it does. And I don't need it every day by any means because normally I'm pretty good at uh, getting the sleep I need, starting my day the way I want to. But it doesn't happen every day for all of us, for many reasons.
That's right. That's
They're,
right. You know, we all have these routines, and
and
thank you
they're
for sharing.
interrupted.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You
Could
know,
be
and
a late flight, it could be a sick child, it could be an early breakfast, whatever.
you're so right there. So many of us are used to these routines, and we try to be militant about them. But the fact of the matter is, just like you're saying, you have to go with the flow. You have to
Yeah.
know what can kind of work for you, and also have these little tips that can work for you
Yes.
when things don't go exactly to plan. Just like you were saying, things that didn't go exactly to plan, but you found 15 minutes or 5 minutes or 30 seconds for yourself. And that's
Yes.
just a great way to recharge, and everyone is different that way. I love that. So I wanted to ask you a question, and you've really been a pioneer here. You've been really talking about mental health for the last 20 years, which I so appreciate, and longer, and really trying to normalize this topic, both in the workplace and at home. In fact, you and I discussed this not too long ago in one of our Calm Global webinars that went so well, and also in an op-ed we did together for USA Today that was so well received by so many. And the question I had for you is, why are you so passionate about this topic after all this time?
I'm so passionate because I see the breakdowns all around us. And I have two daughters. They both went and have been public about their own struggles. When one went through an eating disorder, The other went through drug abuse in college, and she has been 12 years sober.
I see.
So I've seen both firsthand in my own family and, of course, all around us, the mental health crisis. And you know, David, what interests me is that if you think of it, we have more mental health apps, more mental health therapists, and we've had Mental Health Day for over 75 years.
Mm,
And the mental health crisis is worse than ever.
yes.
So I wrote a piece for those of you who follow me on LinkedIn about why. Obviously, we are living in times of deep disruption, uncertainty, AI, fears about jobs, natural disasters, chronic diseases. But I think there is something else going on, which is that when people abandoned religion, they threw the baby out with the bathwater.
Mm,
Because I think that there is a longing for a spiritual dimension to our lives, which doesn't have to be tied to any particular dogma or organized religion. It's just part of who we are, it's part of
mm,
our being. And even if you don't agree with Taylor de Chardin, the Jesuit priest who said that we are spiritual beings having a
mm,
human experience, we're definitely more than material beings.
mm,
And when we identify our lives purely in terms of narrowly defined success, how much money are we making, how fast are we climbing the career ladder, we are missing that dimension. So I feel it's really an amazing moment in our lives to find our own personal way to rediscover that dimension. And what I love, David, is that AI can actually be a forcing mechanism for that, because we are all now saying and repeating that AI will be more intelligent than we are.
mm,
So if AI is more intelligent than we are, if we're not defined by our IQ, who are we?
right.
And what are we defined by? And I think this is like a really important conversation around spirit and soul and that spiritual dimension. And now there is tons of neuroscience and MRI tests, and Professor Lisa Miller at Columbia has done great work about a spiritual docking station in our brains.
Absolutely. And you shared something where you even talked about your own collapse from burnout and exhaustion, and how you have this quote, which I just want to read so I don't get it wrong, because I just feel it's so powerful, that the delusion that burnout is the price that we must pay for success. The first time I read that, and then I read it again and again, I just sat back and I said, this is such a powerful statement that you were giving. And I just wanted to ask you, in terms of your own process here for recovery and some of the habits that you had to essentially unlearn along the way to lead a healthier lifestyle.
I think that's such a great way of putting it. I had to unlearn a lot of habits, but also I had to change my mindset,
Mm,
because I was brought up, and maybe you were brought up because it affected your generation as well as mine, with this collective delusion that if we want to be, in my case, at the time of my collapse, I wanted to be a super founder at the Huffington Post and a super mom. I had two little girls, I was divorced.
mm,
I didn't have the luxury, I considered it a luxury to
mm,
take care of myself, to sleep, to exercise, to eat right. And I collapsed. I hit my head on my desk, broke my cheekbone, which frankly was such a blessing in heavy disguise, because I had to interrupt the way I was leading my life.
mm,
And I started studying the phenomenon of burnout. And I started changing the way I lived. Sleep was my keystone habit that I changed. And The reason I left HuffPost in 2016 to launch Thrive Global is because I wanted to help people move from awareness to action. By 2016, we had gotten to the point where people kind of agreed.
Hmm,
Yes, sleep is important. Yes, eating right is important. But the question was, how do we do it?
hmm, hmm.
And so for that, I couldn't do it through a media company. I had to build a behavior change technology company. And
I
so
love
that's
that.
what I did.
Yes, and we first met actually in many years ago, and I think it was 2009. So it's been a while.
Yes, it has been a while.
And, absolutely, you were trailblazing back then and consistently do it today. And I want to hit all those points about when you were at Huffington Post, obviously Thrive, our AI conversation. But I want to go take it a little farther back before we go there. And I want to talk a little bit about your childhood. And the reason I want to go back there is because it sets a lot of the foundation, I think, for actually both of us in a way. Being immigrants, my parents came over from Korea, you actually from Greece to England. And I wanted to ask a little bit about when you were younger, did you talk about mental health in your household?
Yes, we are both immigrants, but you have no accent, David. I still have my strong Greek accent. My ex-husband told me it's because I never listen. But I think maybe that's what ex-husbands are supposed to say. Um, I was very blessed to have a mother who, growing up in Athens in a one-bedroom apartment, was passionate about meditation.
Hmm.
She got us meditating at 12.
Wow.
And
It's
and you
incredible.
and she also was passionate about yoga. She could stand on her head for I think I don't know 7 8 minutes. She was in.
What?
So basically, my sister and I started meditating really early. So that was very natural for me. And I was always very interested in life spiritual dimension. So at 17, I went to India and studied comparative religion at Shantiniketan University, which had been
Mm.
founded by the Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore.
Wow.
And that's when I saw that all the major spiritual traditions have the same basis, the same truth, that we all have in us this place of peace, wisdom, strength, love. And most of the time we don't live there. In
Mm,
fact, Thich Nhat Hanh said it's never been easier to run away from ourselves.
mm.
But that place is there. And the reason why we can reconnect with it so easily is because it's there. We don't have to create it, we just have to tap into it.
Mm. That is so good. I wish I had that with my own mother when I was younger. I often tell people there's so much advice that my mother gave me that I live by today, but there was a piece of advice that she gave me when I was younger that wasn't so good for my own mental health journey, which was just to power through things.
Yes.
And that wasn't really the advice that I needed in that moment. That led to some unhealthy habits later around food, around smoking, and other things, which I had to unlearn for myself, which took many years. But I wish actually I had had some of those meditation pieces that you had when you were earlier that really could have shaped that. And it's so unique. I haven't heard that from many people that I've had a chance to speak with.
But also, I think the fact that we both came to the work we are doing through personally hard moments, your panic attacks, my collapse, I think has made that what Carl Jung called it only a wounded physician can heal. And we're not physicians, but definitely we've been wounded in different ways. And I think that makes us much more understanding and empathetic about what people go through.
Absolutely. I want to shift a little to how you are as a CEO and as a founder. You talk about so much about the things on your personal life and how that's shaped you as a business leader today. And you've been a business leader from a very young age. So, when you think about your own transformation to be a CEO and your own mental health journey around that, what's really helped you to stay balanced? What's really helped you in those moments to know when it's time to take a break? And what's really kind of been those forces around that?
Well, I'm a big believer that the most important part for any leader is to learn how to be in the eye of the hurricane.
Hmm.
We are never going to eliminate challenges. Increasingly, no leader can just do maintenance. No CEO can just preside over a well-run business. We are constantly pivoting, evaluating changes, and that means that we need to find a place in us where we can be unflappable.
Hmm.
And so my favorite leadership manual is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius,
Yeah.
who was a Stoic philosopher and the Emperor of Rome for 19 years. And whenever CEOs tell me, Ariane, I'm so busy, I can't take care of myself, my answer is, well, Marcus Aurelius was busy. He was the Emperor of Rome, and somehow it stops the conversation.
I love that. I love that. And as you give tips out to others around this, because you talk to so many people that are out there today, business leaders, your coworkers, your employees, is there one tip that you give them that really sticks in terms of how to take care of themselves from a mental health perspective? Is it around
Yes.
sleep?
No, I think it's really a general mindset shift,
Hmm.
which is to stop seeing well being and recovery as opposite to performance and productivity. Well being is part of peak performance. And David, look at elite athletes. They talk about how they prepare for game day. I've done many conversations with Tom Brady, with Andre Iguodala, who is also an investor in Thrive. And, Andre will tell you that while he was playing, before game day, it's like he had to make sure he got his sleep. He had to make sure he was in a dark room. He had to make sure the temperature was right. He had to make sure he had not eaten too late. He had to make sure he had dealt with his stress. So, what is true for elite athletes is also true for us.
I love that. And I totally subscribe to that. But there may be people that are listening to us right now that are thinking, you both are CEOs, you both are founders, you both are at the top of the management chain. And for workers that may not have that luxury, what advice would you give them that, when they're in the thick of it and say, well, we don't have the time for that?
Yeah.
And how can they make the time? Do you have advice that you would give for them?
Yes, it's actually twofold advice. One is about what they do in their own time, because everybody has their own time. And the other is how can they change workplaces? It's working within the workplace to change the culture. And there is definitely a much um, greater opportunity to do that because the general culture is changing. And now we went from CEOs and others bragging about how little sleep they get to CEOs, especially in Palo Alto, where you are, bragging about how much sleep they got.
Very true.
Or comparing, hey, how was your HRV balance last night? Or how much deep sleep did you get? It's become another competitive game. But also our personal time. And I think we need to do a real audit of our personal time. How much time are we spending scrolling through social media? How much time are we spending what I call doom scrolling, the
Yes.
news? How much time are we spending binge watching shows? I actually made a pact with myself during COVID, and I only watch my favorite shows on my treadmill or my bike. Part of our behavior change methodology, as you know, David, which is called habit stacking,
That's right.
you take a habit you love, watching your favorite shows, and you put it on top of a habit you don't love as much, working out. So it's been amazing. And honestly, David, I now cannot even watch a show sitting on the couch. It's
Mm.
like my whole nervous system has changed.
We are very similar that way. I don't enjoy being on the treadmill or on the bike for a long period of time.
Yes,
So it really helps to distract you in the moment.
I know. And I remember when um, Gilded Age, was on, and I had missed a couple of shows. I ended up being on my treadmill for 2.5 hours, just getting
Wow.
caught up. And it's fun because I'm distracted and I'm engaged. My point is that we can't depend on willpower and discipline. We have to make it a little easier on ourselves and a little frictionless.
I love that. I'm going to take that. I may stack a couple of episodes next time to see if that helps me to stay on the treadmill or bike
Yes.
longer, and I'll let you know. I want to switch a little bit to sleep because we talked about that a little bit in the beginning, and it's been sprinkled throughout. Sleep for me is and you just mentioned it with CEOs here in the Valley talking about sleep. Now it's a little bit more of a badge of honor to talk about the quality of your sleep, not just the amount of time that you sleep, but the quality of your sleep. And you went into doom scrolling and others, which I believe all can affect the quality of your sleep, especially the last thing you do. Is there something that you want everyone to know that can help change their relationship with sleep?
Yes. And if I say what I'm going to say, and people think, oh, Ariana, impossible, I can't do that. My response is, don't worry about it. Can you just do it for one night?
Hmm.
We call our micro steps too small to fail. You start somewhere and then you keep adding. So, my most important micro step is to pick a time at the end of your day that you declare the end of your working day. So you have to declare it. You have to say, this is it. My working day is done, whatever time. I'm not saying what time. It could be 6 o'clock, it could be 10 o'clock, but this is the end of my working day. And because we are creatures of rituals, you mark the working day by turning off your phone
Ah.
and charging it outside your bedroom.
Hmm.
Now, as I say, 72% of people sleep with their phones on their nightstand or tucked with them in their bed. I'm not judging them. I'm just saying try it for one night because this thing is not really a phone. Nobody calls anyone anymore. It's kind of a repository of every problem and every project and everything we're stressed and anxious about. So it's not enough to put it on airplane mode or whatever. You just need to be separated from it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've done that actually over dinner meals. It's been a resolution I've had with my family to say, let's not have the phone on the dinner table so we can get back to conversations and being
Yes.
more in tune with one another.
And more present. How old are your daughters now?
So we dropped one just off in college. She's about to turn 18,
Ah,
and the other one is 13.
wow. So again, helping teenage children, older children learn to separate themselves from their phones is key. We've even the only physical product Thrive has launched, happy to send you one, David, is a phone bed. It's a charging station that looks like a bed. It has room for 10 phones and iPads, great for a family. Like if your 13-year-old has a phone, you teach her phone hygiene. Your phone, you say, does not sleep with you. It's not a punishment because your mother's and father's phones don't sleep with them either. That's why you have to set an example. If you have your phone by your bed, your children are much less likely to have their phones by their bed. So you literally, I tuck my phone in, I put it under the blanket. There's a nice little silk blanket. You wish it good night, and we reconnect in the morning. My phone is charged, and I'm fully recharged.
I love that. I love that. Well, I would tell you, and there's something that you just talked about there with sleep. I often talk to a lot of other leaders out there, and you said something really important about being present. I
Yeah,
find that as a leader, if I don't get enough sleep or quality sleep, it's really hard for me to be present with others. Do you find that with yourself that it's hard to be present with others if you don't get a good quality sleep?
absolutely. I find that if I'm exhausted and depleted because I'm sleep deprived, I'm the worst version of myself.
Mm,
How can I put it? Less empathetic,
mm.
more reactive, less creative. I kind of drag myself through the day. And also, I find it so important in life to enjoy things, not just to be productive. Joy is key. Like the reason I took the 15 minutes to recharge before our conversation is not just because I wanted to be more alert and present. It's also because I wanted to find the joy in it. I'm enjoying this conversation. And when I'm exhausted, I don't enjoy anything.
That's so true. I'm going to shift because you said this in the beginning and we touched on AI. And there's a lot you've been obviously doing with Thrive around AI. Do you have kind of recommendations or how do you talk to your own employees about embracing AI going forward in your company?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, we have a curriculum we've launched with many of the companies we're working with called Thriving in the Age of AI.
Mm.
And it has three parts. The first part is recognizing that the most important skill your employees, Thrive's employees, everyone needs during this time is resilience training. Yuval Harari wrote Sapiens and Nexus. He was asked, what's the most important skill in the next 5 years in the age of AI? And he said, training people to be agile and flexible and resilient. I'm paraphrasing. He said maybe coding will be relevant in 5 years, but resilience will never be relevant. And it's not something we're either born with or not born with. It's something we can get better and better at. And it's going to be key in terms of our mental health in navigating these unprecedented times. The second part is to build a resilience toolkit. So, how do you do it? How do you cultivate your resilience? And the first most important thing is to work on these five behaviors because the other thing, David, is that we've tended to separate physical health and mental health,
Yes.
but these behaviors go into both. I mean, you have a daughter in college, most of the garden variety mental health problems in college start with sleep deprivation. I'm not talking about clinical depression or clinical anxiety. I'm talking about just general anxiety, free floating anxiety, because people are so sleep deprived and exhausted.
Yes.
So we have to start with this basic understanding around these behaviors. Or if you eat junk all the time, or if you eat too much sugar, or you don't move, right? These things are going to make a big difference. And also, if you don't interrupt your stress cycle, stress is unavoidable, but cumulative stress is avoidable. And that's why my favorite feature on the Thrive platform is the 60-second resets. We have hundreds of them that are geared through deep breathing and images of joy and gratitude and music. They're geared to reconnect us with that place of peace.
I love that. I love that. It doesn't take much.
My favorite thing is to create our own personalized resets
Mm.
with images that help us personally, your kids, your pets, if you have any, a favorite song, favorite quotes. I'll send you mine, David. And then we have to make yours.
Absolutely. And talking of images, those are some of the things that you've talked about that can bring you joy. And you've talked about joy being such a powerful tool for yourself. I just want to know what brings you joy.
Oh, well, I am just so blessed to have a family I'm very close to that I spend a lot of time with. I'm very blessed to have a job I love. And with every challenge, it's still something I look forward to doing every day and to be working with people I love who are friends. And also to have that sense that life isn't just about this life. I mean, I'm very clear that death is not the end, and I find that gives me a lot of peace. I think it's very important for people to be clear about that in their lives, to study, to understand, to be on their own journey of inner exploration. You know, David, in the Bay Area, I think everybody's so excited about exploring outer space. And I'm much more excited about exploring inner space.
Oh, I love
That exploration gives me a lot of joy.
I love that. I have really appreciated for myself just spending time with my own family as my two daughters continue to age and finding those moments where we're connecting at a deeper level. And that has given me a lot of personal joy, especially as the oldest one has gone off to school.
Yes.
On a work front, I share that with you. I still feel I'm very humbled by the fact that similar to both companies at Com here, we've had over 180 million people that have downloaded the product. And I know that every second of every day, it's helping somebody in their
Yes.
mental health journey. And that purpose is something that helps to drive myself and gives me joy in life, knowing that we can help so many people together in a very positive way, which I love about both of us.
I love that.
I know we're almost out of time because I could just talk to you forever, but I was wondering, there's a couple last questions. I don't want to call it a speed round because I take forever in these questions, but what I wanted to do was just ask you a couple last questions. And the first one is just, what's something that might surprise our listeners about yourself?
That I love country music.
Love that. I did
I
not see that.
love Zach Brown, for example, Toes in the Sand.
So good. So good. And who inspires you?
Well, so many people. I mean, starting with my mother, who was an incredible source of wisdom. But right now, I'm incredibly inspired by Alice Walton.
Oh,
Alice Walton, who is actually become a friend and is an investor in our Thrive AI company, is somebody I so deeply admire because she's transforming healthcare. She has launched a medical school in Bentonville, Arkansas,
yes.
on the grounds of the museum she had launched, the Crystal Bridges Museum, where millions of people from the middle of the country who had never been to a museum go to look at American art and bring their children there. And the medical school is on the grounds of this beautiful part of America where people who are training to be doctors or nurses can go on hikes and be in nature and then go to the museum. And as well as being taught, the standard academic medical curriculum, they're being taught about behaviors, about nutrition and sleep and exercise and stress, which for me should be the model for medical education. So I'm very inspired by her, and I believe she's really changing how we approach healthcare.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. So inspirational. And finally, just what are ways that you like to recharge? What's your favorite way that you like to recharge? It sounds like there's an exercise bike with some of your favorite shows, but what's the favorite thing that you like to do?
Oh, my favorite thing is hiking with my family or friends. I love long hikes, being in nature and talking. And actually, when I'm in LA, I have a home in LA, so I'm there quite a bit. I never have lunch with my friends. We always go on hikes.
Ah, love that. I love that. Ariana, thank you again so much for being here. I just wish we could keep going right now, but I know you're very busy and you've got a lot of things you got to go to. If folks want to learn more about Thrive Global and some of the things that you've talked about, where can they go and how can they learn more?
I think LinkedIn is my favorite social medium. I'm very active there. It's Arianna Huffington, just my name. And would love to hear from people, questions, comments, any way we can interact.
Well, thank you again. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your thoughtfulness. Thank you for your time today. Thank you again, Ariana.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you. Great to see you again.
Great to see you as well.